Hey everyone, hey Wellness Crew, and welcome to today's reading of The Art of Contemplation, A Gentle Path to Wholeness and Prosperity. I believe this actually might be the last live stream that I'll be doing of this because I think we're actually going to be closing up the book today. So, yay! Yeah, I think we're probably right at the end. So I do apologize for not keeping everything the same. I know sometimes I do some of the live streams horizontally, some of them are vertically, but it's just makes it makes it easier for some people to have it vertically, makes it for some people a little bit easier to have it horizontally. So that's the only reason why. All right, so let's dig in. Lingering. One of the insights you may have learned through reading this book is that the art of contemplation is not a fast art. Its gift is that it reminds us to slow down and appreciate every passing moment to the fullness of our potential. Lingering is an attitude of milking pleasant or uplifting experiences. Less a technique and more a habit to develop, the art of lingering can be applied to many situations. With lingering, we extend our pause just a little longer than our mind sometimes tells us. This is like being the last person to leave the cinema after a really good film. I think that's a really good example of that. Lingering is about attuning to the invitations that life offers us on a daily basis. Perhaps a dog approaches you and licks your feet. You pause and give him your attention for a few moments. Perhaps the sun comes out from behind a cloud while you are busy shopping. Instead of ignoring it, linger a little and feel its light dusting your body. Lingering does not need to make you late for commitments. A linger can be a few seconds long, or it can be a few hours among friends. The important lesson of lingering is to learn to receive life at ever deepening levels. Finally, lingering also requires that you tune in to the feelings of others. If you take your lingering too far, you may also overstay your welcome. Laughter contemplation. Although there are exercises that help prompt and provoke laughter, the experience of joy that accompanies a deep, spontaneous belly laugh cannot be set up or practiced. The very beauty of laughter lies in its unexpectedness. We can, however, contemplate the environment and occasions that made us laugh in the past. When you know what and who tends to make you laugh, you can create those conditions again. If, for example, you always laugh with a particular person, then consider spending more time with that person. In which environments do you tend to laugh the most? Make sure that you recreate those environments. This may sound like an obvious thing to do, but many of us forget to gift ourselves these simple pleasures. Part of our commitment on the path of contemplation is to make sure that our lives are as rich as possible. The avatar. This contemplation is an age-old tradition that engages the power of your imagination. An avatar is a great master or enlightened being, like Christ or Buddha. In this contemplation, you imagine yourself in the presence of any great being of your choice. You contemplate their inner state and the light, love, and wisdom that streams from them. You can focus on any particular quality you would like. You imagine yourself in their presence, walking with them, talking with them, imbibing their presence constantly. The deepest level of this contemplation is when you imagine that you are actually that being, that their perfected state of consciousness has been transferred into you. This is a very powerful and rewarding contemplation that is accessible and easy for anyone to do. At a certain point, the impression from your imagination triggers a spontaneous process of self-illumination, and you begin to experience a higher and more loving state of consciousness. When done over time, this contemplation takes on a life of its own and will afford you remarkable results. Okay, I'm going to try not to butcher this name. Hugon. In our modern day and age, we tend to be very future focused. Hey, Mac, how are you, hun? Thank you so much for the like. I appreciate that. Have you been doing good? Hugon is a beautiful contemplation that involves deliberately reflecting on the sweetness of a past event. You might bring back a memory of a time when you felt truly happy or at peace or deeply in love. If you are fortunate enough to have experienced a higher state of consciousness, then you may well choose this for your Hugon. Then all you do is savor the memory. Yeah, it's almost afternoon. It's almost 12 for me. You've been okay? Oh, that's so good to hear. I'm so glad to hear that. Work's been good and everything? Absolutely, of course. Yeah, I'm just so glad to hear that you're doing okay. Anything new happening in your life? As though you are watering a precious plant. You let the memory flood through you and you draw upon its nourishment. Sometimes there is also a tinge of sadness that comes with such memories, which you can also embrace fully. Hugon contemplation can be done over a period of time and can open you up to the sweet impermanence of life. The other dimension in this contemplation is that it brings the past into the present, encouraging us to embrace a state of timelessness. Hugon can also be done as a dialogue with a friend or friends as you conjure up a time of joy and laughter together. Contemplation and illness. Illness is a natural part of life. There are many forms of illness, and all forms offer an opening into the contemplative state. Illness drives us deeper into the consciousness of our body through the discomfort and pain we are forced to confront. Illness tends to remind us of our mortality, so our contemplation might naturally swing in the direction to the subject of death. We do not generally know how we will die, but there is a chance that it may involve some physical pain, and it will definitely, thank you so much for the like, I appreciate that. And it will definitely involve the dissolution of our attachment to the body. Illness is therefore to be trusted at a very deep level. See, with this particular part, I struggle with it because I just feel like the contemplation and illness, because since I do struggle with an autoimmune disease, um yeah, that part I kind of struggle with. So I'll just be straight up with y'all. As much as I love the Gene Keys, as much as I love the writings from Richard Rudd, even I sometimes have certain things with certain passages from his books where I'm like, oh. So it's like with anything, just take the parts that um, that kind of like make sense for you or that resound with you, and leave the rest. Whether we surrender to our illness or we fight it, it invites us to contemplate our own death and to open our heart to embrace the great mystery of life and death. Try to view illness as an opportunity to let go of some of the deep fears held in your body and trust that it will deliver you its own unique teaching. This is also the case when you are tending another who is ill. Taking care of another who is ill comes with all its own challenges and teachings. It is a great opportunity to demonstrate the endless patience and kindness of the contemplative state. Above all, it is also a reminder to be kind and compassionate towards yourself. Forgiveness contemplation. I think this is probably a very important one because a lot of people struggle with forgiving themselves, forgiving others, and a lot of us carry a lot of guilt with us that is totally unnecessary and will cause a lot of discomfort in our bodies. Even though we're not 100% aware of it, we'll carry it with us in our subconscious. In life, there are many emotional ups and downs. Sometimes we do things that hurt others, either consciously or unconsciously. And sometimes we are wronged or dishonored in some way by others. Thank you so much for the like. You can only enter the full beauty of the contemplative state when you no longer harbor any resentments or hidden shame. Every pang of guilt or repressed blame muddies our still inner lake. If you harbor such unresolved feelings from the past, part of your contemplative journey will be to let them go. This is usually a gentle process that may take considerable time. Depending on the depth of your wounds, you may also wish to consider professional help in this regard. Forgiveness, whether of yourself or another, is about releasing yourself from a series of energetic hooks that link you to a certain person or past event. One contemplative approach is to close your eyes and locate these hooks inside yourself. Then, using your breath, breathe into each one and let it go. If there was another person involved, you can also try and see them in a new light. Imagine them as a young child and see the terrible sense of isolation they may have felt at some point. Even the most aggressive or heartless personality traits are rooted in certain tragic events in a child's life. The more you can come to understand others using the power of your imagination, the more compassion you will be able to feel for them. In time, this will help you to let them go. As you refine the art of contemplation, you will realize there are no mistakes in life. Every event is a whetstone for you to further polish the blade of your worldly wisdom. We are here to learn from our mistakes and to find the inner forgiveness, to move on and become a better person. Nature contemplation. Ah, do I have lipstick on my teeth? No. Okay. I thought I just saw it. A little off the rails sometimes. Living close to nature ensures that you have the very best conditions for contemplative practice. Even if you live in an urban environment, you can always find regular ways to keep connecting to nature. Nature connects us to the source of being, to the raw and pristine wilderness of the contemplative state. Anything in the natural world can be an invitation to contemplation. Sitting by a lake with no agenda, you will soon feel a natural calm coming over you. Gazing into a flowing river can smooth out all your thoughts and clarify your feelings. Swimming in or spending time by the ocean can expand your horizons and bring much needed perspective into your life. The higher we go in the mountains, the more rarefied our thoughts become, and the deeper we go into forests. Thank you so much for the like. I appreciate that. The calmer and more grounded we feel. For every difficulty in life, there is a natural antidote, and it's usually right beneath our feet. Other ways of accessing the field of contemplation through the natural world are gardening, handling natural materials, or being with animals. Just spending time in the company of a blissful, purring cat, or playing with a delirious dog. I wonder why he used the word delirious. That's funny. Delirious dog can be a physical, kinesthetic reminder of the relaxed nature of the contemplative state. Sometimes nature invites us into other levels of contemplation, as when she is very far from being calm, but instead throws up storms and other extreme forms of weather. At such times, you can either retreat indoors and take your contemplation deeper inwards, or you can defy logic and go out into the elements to experience them in their raw and wild state. I do not recommend this if you are in the middle of a hurricane or a tornado or something wild. Maybe during a thunderstorm, but definitely not when there's lightning. Sometimes the latter approach, I just don't want anybody to take this too literally. Sometimes the latter approach can lead to a heightened state of exhilaration that falls into a blessed peace when you return indoors. Allow the elements to play upon your being in this way, rising and falling on the waves of change, and your contemplation will become like a musical symphony that adapts and delights in the weather and its many changing faces. Tree contemplation. We human beings live surrounded by trees. Although there are areas devoid of trees, it is often a great challenge to live for long in such places, since trees are bringers of life. Many of us develop a natural affinity for a particular tree, and there are a few things more iconic of contemplation than a figure sitting under a tree. Wherever you live or travel in the world, let the trees around you be your contemplative allies. Every tree is a reminder for you to pause and breathe. Even if you cannot physically pause as you go past a tree, let it create a pause in your thinking. If you do have time, go and stand or sit beneath a living tree, and you will find its soft umbrella a perfect invitation to contemplation. The power of the tree as a contemplative symbol is its perfect equilibrium. Every tree has roots that plunge deep into the earth, balanced by branches that stretch like fingers towards the heavens. The tree's every branch, twig, and root is part of an evolutionary impulse to maintain a state of dynamic equilibrium. Likewise, our contemplation is both grounding and uplifting. Solar contemplation. One of the most powerful forms to contemplate is the sun. The sun is a profound symbol of the perfected human being. The sun is a pure expression of limitless giving based on radiant health and balanced wholeness. The sun also represents the eternal nature of consciousness that never sleeps or dies. The best times to contemplate the sun are at dawn and dusk, when its rays are softest. However, you can contemplate the sun at any time of day or even at night. As you move throughout your day, luxuriate in the sun's rays. Pause to feel its warmth on your face and breathe its light into your bones. The more often you do this exercise, the more radiant and positive you will feel. Imagine that every cell of your body is a tiny sun, and collectively they all form one giant sun. Even when the sun is hidden, during a gray day or at night, bring it back into your awareness and feel it burning within you, healing, softening, and expanding. If you are prone to melancholy or depression, or are moving through a difficult period in your life, there is no better contemplation than this. Over time, as you contemplate the sun, you will feel an inner light growing within you, and it will begin to melt those dark feelings that we all carry. There is an entire inner yoga of the sun, and when you commit to doing this contemplation, these teachings will naturally be revealed to you. Nightfall. Certain contemplations are now necessary that once were simply part of ordinary life. Indeed, for those in less affluent and technologically developed cultures, these remain as natural patterns that most would not give a second thought to. One such contemplation concerns the passing of day into night and the way in which we go to sleep. If you have never simply sat and watched day turning into night, this in itself is a magical and powerful practice that is highly recommended. In the modern world, this is often a busy time, so you may need to specifically set aside that time. The sliding of day into night is a mirror of the wonder of contemplation, as our thoughts and feelings gradually empty out into the purity of silence. Particularly if you can do this contemplation outdoors in nature, you will note the subtle change in your body as certain chemical pathways in your brain shut down in tune with the fading of the light. There is also a mood changeover in nature as the sounds and smells become more acute and the nocturnal creatures begin to flutter and rustle all around you. For many of us, the beauty of the evening light is often lost to electrical lighting and the use of our screens. The magic of candlelight, firelight, moonlight, and starlight play upon our being, drawing out our more mystical nature and expanding our subtler extrasensory capacities. You can mark this time of day before bed as the best time for contemplation, and you can return to simpler times by honoring the time of nightfall. Finally, you can imprint the power of contemplation deeply in your consciousness by making it the last thing you do before falling asleep. Sit there in the darkness for a few minutes and let the day and its concerns drop away from you. Open yourself to the great mystery of the unknown and enter the quietness of night with a restful spirit. This will also ensure that when you wake the next morning, you will instantly remember the art of contemplation. Eden is an imaginary journey that has a powerful truth embedded in it. When you allow your heart to lead you into it, you may discover yourself propelled into a timeless state of consciousness that suffices your whole being. Once, long ago, we humans inhabited a simpler world in which we were more merged with nature. Our brains functioned differently, our priorities were different, and although the world may have been harsh at times, it was sparsely populated and more silent. Time moved differently. We shared a more tribal consciousness that afforded warmth, comfort, and support as we moved and worked together to feed and care for ourselves and each other. In this contemplation, we bring alive this ancestral memory held in our DNA of a simpler age. You can use your imagination in any way to rekindle the songs, smells, and sights of the early epoch of humanity. You can pay particular attention to the silence and stillness that sat upon the earth during that early time. This is one half of this contemplation. The second aspect of this contemplation is to project your mind forwards in time to a time of completion. Try to tune into that cellular certainty of our future as a time of harmony, peace, and absolute fulfillment. We don't have to know how the miracle will occur, but it is stamped in our DNA. We come from Eden and we will return to Eden, just as all our stories and myths testify. Perhaps our technology will finally free us from the perils of war and fear. I don't know about that. I'm just kidding. Perhaps we will break the limiting bonds of time and space and take our rightful place as a universal human. Allow yourself to dream of such a time where all human awareness has evolved to know its own unity with all beings. Indeed, if you are bold enough, see yourself and humanity as inhabiting an eternal body, individual but interconnected, purified of all wounds and divides, once again whole. Trace the mythic connection between our beginning and our completion as we play out the greatest story ever told. From once upon a time to and they lived happily ever after. Feel the joy and laughter rising within you, and let its light fill your cells. You are part of an eternal spirit that can never die. Your life is but a sentence in this great storyline. So you will do your utmost to make yours a gracious narrative, filled with forgiveness, love, and higher purpose. 17,000 breaths. In a single day, you probably take a minimum of 17,000 breaths. You may take as many as 30,000 or more. I did not know that. This is new information to me. How many of those breaths are you aware of? Generally speaking, the number of breaths you take are in relation to the state of your relaxedness and awareness. Longer, deeper breaths calm the mind, emotions, and body. This contemplation is simply about bringing awareness to your breathing. The more frequently you pause and become aware of your breath, the more peaceful and balanced you will feel. See how often you can remember to pause. Note the relationship between pausing, breathing, and your general state over the course of a day. Set yourself the goal of each day taking a few more longer, deeper breaths. Contemplate what a day might feel like if you were aware of every single breath you take. The contemplation of the triple flame. The contemplation of the triple flame is a simple and very powerful pausing technique that involves pausing for 3 minutes every 3 hours. You can program your phone or other device to send you a reminder to pause and enter the field of contemplation at 3, 6, 9, and 12 o'clock each day during daylight hours. The gentle circadian rhythm of this process soon begins to saturate your daily life, and after several weeks, you may find you are attuning to this contemplation at a deeper, unconscious level. Whatever you may be doing at these times, the triple flame invites you to spend these 3 minutes in a contemplative frame of mind. If you are able to physically pause what you are doing, then you can do so. If, however, you cannot physically pause, then you can at least continue what you are doing with an increased sense of self-awareness. Although simple, the contemplation of the triple flame has many dimensions to it. It actively brings the contemplative state into some of the busiest times of your day, which can be a transformative experience. Another element of this contemplation is to connect you to a growing global movement of people also learning the art of contemplation at the same time. So there's a app called Triple Flame that you can download, and it will send you notifications and reminders of when to take a daily pause. So you can also look into that as well. Philanthropy contemplation. Although this is the last contemplation in this book, it has the capacity to transform your life in perhaps the most powerful way. Many of us live such busy lives that we do not often allow ourselves much time to consider the lives of others. In this contemplation, you are invited to imagine yourself at your own memorial service. Oh, that's kind of dark. Okay. Ex- Sorry. Expand your vision of what your life could be like at its absolute zenith. Listen to the things that people say about you and your life, both publicly and privately. Drift around and look into people's eyes. Feel their hearts opening and see the magnificent influence you have had on them. Imagine your life as an explosion of selfless giving from an overflowing heart. Now track backwards from your funeral to the events that led to this great celebration of one person's capacity for love. See the courageous decisions you had to take along your life's journey. Those pivotal moments when you took the road less traveled. Hey Shiv, how are you? See the countless other beings you have influenced for good without even knowing it. See how one person's life can become a beautiful, flowering, no matter how simple or humble it may be. The second aspect of this contemplation is to consider how you can begin or continue such a life from this moment on. What is the first decision you need to take? Take your time and contemplate deeply and carefully before you take any action. This contemplation may take you weeks or even months. Philanthropy is about serving others from an overflowing heart. Even if you do not feel such a love now, even small acts of giving can be the trigger for a gentle expansion. As with all contemplation, begin gently and take care of yourself as you go along. This is not about you depleting your own resources. It takes great patience to learn to love and give in a balanced way. But the rewards of such a life are vast beyond our imagining. Dare to step a little outside your comfort zone and watch a smile spreading on another face somewhere in the world. All right, last couple of pages. Afterward, I believe that anyone can learn the art of contemplation. I learned the art of contemplation out of necessity to help cope with the many challenges of being a parent. One day I realized that I had lost all sense of calm. I had allowed myself to become overwhelmed by the sudden increase in my responsibilities. I felt I had lost all my youthful freedom and could see no clear way of finding it again. I felt trapped, isolated, and lost. Then one day, while visiting a friend, I became entranced by a painting on her wall. It was a simple image of a lone seagull in flight against a sea of blue. That painting stirred something deep inside my soul. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The birds seemed so silent, pure, and free in that spotless sky. Every time I thought of the image, I began to feel like that bird. It was as though the painting had cast a magical spell over me. I only had to remember the image in my mind, and almost immediately I was flooded by a feeling of deep calm and limitless freedom. Over the months following this encounter, I returned over and over again to the image of the seagull in my mind. Whenever I thought of it, my whole being paused, and for a short time, I let go of the outer world and its distractions. I also learned to conjure up the image in my mind during difficult moments or conflicts, which gave amazing results. I experienced the power of pivoting, the ability to turn a difficult situation into a gift. In my relationships, this changed everything. Instead of contracting when faced with a conflict, I taught myself to stay soft and open hearted. I continue to learn this lesson today. In time, I forgot all about the seagull. The memory of it only came back to me today as I sat down to write these words. For me, that image was a doorway into contemplation. And once I knew how to find the door, I no longer needed the image itself. Since then, I have found countless other pathways into the contemplative state. It has taken me many years to learn the art of contemplation, but it is the greatest and most useful art I have ever learned. I hope this small book may help you find your own doorways into the contemplative state. It is a state that our world needs more than ever to remember. The art of contemplation is to a human being what air is to a bird. It is freedom, it is purpose, and it is peace. Richard Red. And that is the end of The Art of Contemplation. This is the first book that has been finished. So also it is super small and light. But in case you don't have access to it, there is a whole bunch of live streams that you can go back and look at on my channel if you want to get the whole entire book. It's kind of like a visual audiobook. So thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and or join one of the membership tiers as it is popping off with content. And I will see you on the next video or live stream. Be well, stay wild as well.